Hi, everyone. Welcome to the University of Miami Online's Master of Public Administration info session. So excited to have each of you here and even more so to introduce you to some of our panelists. We're going to meet them a little later, but in the meantime, my name is Brianna Campbell. I'm one of the student advocates for this program, just helping make this process possible for you. Just going to give people a little bit of time to trickle in. See a lot of us joining. Give us a moment. Okay, that should be everyone. So I think we're able to get started. So, as I mentioned, my name is Rihanna Campbell. I serve as a student advocate. And again, essentially what that means is making sure that you have everything to get set up for your semesters, your materials, how you're going to make the program a financial reality for you, just kind of being there to be your first contact and resource of information, kind of like Siri, but for school. And I'm happy to always be there. So, just kind of moving forward with the flow of things and some housekeeping items. This info session, we're going to do about 45 minutes or so. Do note there is going to be a recording that's available after the session. So, if you do have to hop off or you're just settling in from work, that's okay. You won't miss any of the information that is shared. And then you do want to connect with an enrollment advisor to be able to answer some of your one-to-one questions. We're going to answer as much as possible in the chat, so do put your questions in the Q&A feature, and that way we can get to them either live or typing them out between me and our wonderful panelists. And then save this number here to be able to speak with an enrollment advisor if you haven't already. You can call 1-800-411-2290, or you can always slow chat with us at uonline.miami.edu. Okay, so kind of to give you guys an idea of what this program is about at a glance. So there's 12 courses that you would be taking. You're taking one course at a time is what the program is designed to be. So one course at a time, each of them are 7 weeks. You have about a 1 week break between them and then a 2 week break between semesters. It is going to be the full fall, spring, and summer. It's projected to take 2 years to complete with those 12 courses. And then do know the GRE is waived for our applicants who are eligible, etc. So with this, you wouldn't have to think about that standardized testing component. And then we are SACSEOC accredited as a university. And one of the biggest points that I want to stress is that it is grounded in practice. It is applicable to the things that you guys are hopefully seeing in your current positions or will go off and see after graduation / during the program as you're navigating that professional search. So with that, we're going to learn a little bit more about that momentarily. But in the meantime, I want to introduce our fabulous perspectives that we have here today. We have a wealth of knowledge. First and foremost, we have Dr. Sharon McIntyre, who is one of our lecturers. She will be giving our, on the faculty side of things, perspective. Welcome, Sharon. Thank you for joining us. And then we have Dr. Stephanie Thomas, who is one of our program alumni, and is here to share as from that student perspective, previous student perspective. Then we also have Roxana and William, who happen to graduate in the same cohort and can speak to the camaraderie there. So again, a lot of wealth, very well-rounded, and here to answer those questions that you guys may have. All right. So just moving forward with the program kind of in general, just wanted to speak to you guys' experiences and spend some time on that. First and foremost, I wanted to talk with sharing about what are some of the tangible skills that you see students learning from the MPA program with UOnline.
So some of the tangible skills that I see really are the critical thinking skills because of some of the case studies, live interactive sessions, you're really able to put those skills in use and actively use them. What's great about it is that some of the students don't have that skill as yet because they're just students, and others have work experience and they're blended together. So we learn from each other. We call it co-creating. We're co-creating together, learning from each other. So that's like one of the skills, really, that critical thinking that's really necessary and important. And we talk about it all the time in academia, but we actually get to see it live and in person when you're taking these classes and you're working on different projects and case studies, et cetera.
Amazing. So William, Stephanie, and Roxanne, we'll go one at a time. What are some of the professions that you guys are A, occupying right now, and then B, that you've been able to apply those tangible skills to? So what are you currently doing? What have you seen your classmates doing, etc. Starting with William.
Hello, everybody. Again, my name is William. I am currently a departmental technician for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And one of the things that I have been able to utilize my wealth of knowledge that I got from the MPA program is I've been able to apply it to some of the career paths I wanted to get into. When I started at Miami, I wanted to become a policy writer. And I've been able, since graduating with MPA, to be on special projects in Lansing, our capital here in Michigan, to work on their various different policy analysis for the Department of Health and Human Services, also the Department of Corrections, just working in different areas, utilizing those skills that I learned as far as policy implementation, understanding the stakeholders of different policies, and just being able to, again, use those intangibles that I learned in class, Roxana and I, and just being able to understand that how we use the skills that we already have from, again, working in our profession and then enhancing on them with what we get in Miami has been truly beneficial and rewarding. And again, my goal is to eventually become a full-time policy analyst, but I've been able to work on some special projects, and having a MPA from Miami has certainly boosted a lot of attention my way. So definitely, I can say it's been beneficial to have such a quality education from UM.
Stephanie?
Thank you. I would have to agree with William. But before I do that, my name is Dr. Stephanie Thomas. I am the Deputy City Clerk for the City of North Miami. I was appointed as the Supervisor of Election for North Miami in the 2024 election cycle, so I was excited about that. Our municipality is a little different where we have an elected city clerk, so that's why I was appointed. So there's no conflict of interest and all that good stuff you learned in that in MPA. I was one of the students that was in the first cohort for the 2018 MPA UOnline. And I have to say, after being in the government sector for 23 years, the MPA program has definitely refined me. Although I had these skills, working, the book knowledge really came into play for me where everything made sense to me. Where now I'm a director of a department, I'm handling budgets, I'm doing policy legislations, to the point now my real passion is in health. So I'm also a health advocate on the side. That's what I do. And we also try to fight for legislation in DC and with our Florida legislation. So it has all been an exciting journey for me. And also the MPA program helped me and catapult me to become a doctor today in health sciences.
Amazing. And then last but not least, Roxana.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Roxana Lemos. I'm currently working for the Office of the Attorney General. I'm currently the Human Services Program Specialist, or I like short and sweet, I'm the regional advocate. And just picking back into what these two incredible individuals have stated and their experiences, it's it's very interesting. I think that this program it really does transform your mind in so many different ways. I think that, I've done advocacy for 9 years, and I was always the field advocate. And it wasn't until when you're dealing a little bit more with leadership and mixed in with this program, mixed in with the program, you realize how much research is out there that it creates a level of respect of the research that was created, that you say, wow, this is why this is why we do things as advocates, because of the research that was built upon that. And it gives a greater respect. It makes you want to research and makes you want to do more. And then being able to now be in a leadership position, and you're dealing with the public, the private, the nonprofit, this program just opens up your eyes of the different types of leadership, the kind of leadership for you to kind of be more mindful. But like what Ms. Sharon said, the critical thinking skills, it's about just not just seeing what's in front of you, but just beyond that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thinking outside the box.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Were any of our alumni not working during the program? Anyone? Okay. How did you guys make it work? Because I think one of the questions is, I'm working full time. I want to do school. I don't really want to choose between one or the other. How did you guys make it work? Talk to me.
So with me, if you guys don't mind me going first, I'm a traditional student. I like to sit in the class, learn from the teacher, ask questions, be engaged, but I knew with my lifestyle, it was not possible. I had a husband that was sick, needed my care, so I was also a caregiver. I had 2 children in high school, and I was working full-time and going to school full-time. So I had to make it work. And with the support of my family, I was able to conquer and make sure that I was able to graduate in 2018. So I had to do a lot of prioritizing of my schedule, of my time, what was important to me at the time, especially, I had to just put that on the side because I know it was only temporary. So I had to make that sacrifice and making sure that I took care of what mattered to me at the moment in those 2 years.
I definitely agree with Dr. Thomas. The prioritization is crucial when it comes to being committed to the MPA program. I can honestly attest to that myself. When I started the program in the fall of 2021, I had just lost my great grandfather 2 months prior. I had just started a new position. And towards the end of that year, I had the last semester, Dr. West had taught, may he rest in peace. I had to make a decision, either return back to my previous position and finish the MPA program, or either maintain my new position and pause grad school. And this was just far too important to me. I understood in that moment, in the long run, what my MPA would do for me compared to the short-term success I would have in that new position. So I returned back to my previous position. I made the decision, as Dr. Thomas said, just making those decisions of what's important to you. And it was the best, most rewarding decision I made, going back to a position that I knew, to finish those 2 years in Miami. And again, just making sure, making it work for you. You have to be willing to commit to Miami as much as you are to any aspect you can, just trying to balance it out, because that 4-letter word called life will always come into play.
And I agree. At the time of when I first started the program, I was in law enforcement, so I had an on-call schedule, and I was being called out on all hours of the day. But the program itself, what I love about it is the flexibility that you're able to create your own schedule, like what everyone said about making it fit for you. But I believe personally, I during that time, during the program itself, I was I was changing jobs. I was going through something very personal, and I would say that one of the biggest assets to this, and even is were our professors, because they realize that we are not just wearing the student hat, we are also wearing the mom hat, the child the hat. We're wearing all these different hats, and when anything would become very overwhelming or whatever the case might be, they create this open space where, yes, it may be online, but being able to, like, an open door policy that you can come to them, and they're willing to work with you. They were just they are part of the success. I couldn't, for me personally, could have not done it without them, because they were that constant reminder of, like, you got this, you can do it, and motivating you throughout the time. So
I just wanted to jump in, even though I'm on the professor side. So I echo everything that everyone has said here. So the important thing is making it work for you, prioritizing, 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 like putting things in the place they need to be for you to be able to get the work done. Maybe, doing the caregiving, because some of us are caregivers for parents and for children and spouses, and some of us have other things going on. The things that's interesting is that from what I heard here today and what I know personally is that a lot of times people take on this challenge and they have so many things that are happening in their lives, because it just doesn't stay the same. Things aren't constant, right? And so you have to prioritize and figure out what's working for you at the moment, and just make sure that you can get through the classes and get the work done and set aside some time. And it's not always easy, but if you focus and you try to do it, and if you have issues and you come to us and you let us know, then we can work with you the best that we can, so that you can move forward. But the most important thing is just have that grit and that determination. I love the fact that William said he went back to his older job. I mean, that may not be what most people would want to do, but sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture, and this degree would catapult you to places you've never thought of. So I always say you don't know what you don't know, because you don't know it, right? And the universe just has a greater dream than you can even dream for yourself. So you're dreaming about this degree and some of the things that you want to do, but imagine what else is out there that you haven't even thought of. And this degree will help you to be able to harness that and attract that. So things like that. Let me get my phone off here.
Absolutely. To Lecturer McIntyre's point, had a student say recently, they realize there's never the perfect time to start the program. There's always going to be something. There's always, and you can speak to that, Dr. Thomas, because life was lifing. It absolutely was. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to do it alone. You have your faculty, you have your classmates, you have your family, you have your communities that are close to you in proximity, but also online. And so it's something to where even with your advisor, your advocate, we can talk through those things. What does your schedule look like? When are you able to get this done? And find that time to do your schoolwork. And beautiful thing is it's asynchronous, but there are opportunities for synchronous connection. Back to you, Lecturer McIntyre. What do you see as some of the strengths in the faculty of this program?
Wow, that's such a great question. So the strengths are that we all have diverse backgrounds. We come from different disciplines, and we all are here because we want to be here and we believe in the value of education. We came to the school because this is where we wanted to be. So our diverse backgrounds all encompass political science, public administration, and public policy. William alluded to writing policy. I'm teaching a class now on policy analysis, agenda setting, doing your SWOT analysis. So we all have a background that covers certain areas of public administration, which will be some of the areas that you guys are interested in finding out more about. So I started out with looking at being an emergency manager. I'll give you a quick background because it's a long story. I was in 9/11. I was in the first tower that was hit. And after that day-long ordeal, I decided I wanted to be in um, public service. I knew that I wanted to be in emergency management. It changed the trajectory of my life. Now it was like, a life-altering moment, but it's things like that background that I have, the background that Dr. Curley has, all the different background that we have that brings the strength of the program to all the students who want to be a part of this and all the students who are looking for something new. Whatever it is that you're interested in, there's someone on the faculty that has some kind of background in that area. And I feel like that is just an amazing thing for us to have as a group. And some of them cross over. So some people, there might be 3 people who are interested in the environment or in diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, if we can say that word, social cohesion, culture of belonging. So there are a lot of crossovers and a lot of things that we all work on together and some that we all specialize in. So I think that's the strength that, so if you go online and you look at the papers we've written, the books that we published, what our research interests are, you might find that they align with whatever it is that you're interested in.
You hit on such an important point about just the how broad MPA can be, but there's areas to find your niche. And all of our major public um, public forums do need that leadership. They need that administrative component. Just because we're passionate about things, we have to know how to run those things and make those visions happen. So definitely super duper applicable. Um, to that point, tell me from the student perspective, um, what advice would you give to students who are looking at this program thinking, this might be right for me, etc.?
The best advice I could give is, find your footing early. It's this while this program is run relatively smoothly, in my opinion, it is challenging and it's meant to be challenging, but it's challenging and smooth. And one of the things that I really learned early in my time was really finding your footing. As Professor McIntyre said, there's different. Everyone has their different niche in the MPA program, be it policy, be it various different things, finding your footing, and also even with it being online, finding your social group, finding those classmates that you can interact with, that you can learn with, you can study with. Roxana can attest to it. We grinded during our budget and analysis courses, our statistical courses, because as we all have stated, you are not in this alone. There's someone on the other side of that screen working and trying their best just as hard as you are. And when you can, find those classmates early, you build so many friendships that last a lifetime, because it doesn't just stop here at Miami. So I definitely would say it, just the advice, find your footing early, find those social groups early, because they could really be beneficial to you.
Very well put. Very well put. Um, I do think that there is that concern sometimes with new students. They bring up, because this is asynchronous, how am I going to connect with people? So how have you guys seen those connections spur, either organically through class, etc.? And I'll kick this off to Roxana.
No, I believe it is like a mixture. It's a mixture sometimes. I think that I know that some professors they had like, okay, we have the like every Sunday we're meeting at this time. We're meeting at this time, just if you have any questions. And when you attend, you just find a lot of people there. And that's how you usually connect, right? Because then the professor, they're like, oh, well, maybe you guys can work together as, kind of like as an encouraging tool. But the great thing that was great was that the professors also had like these discussion boards. We had like group and team activities. And I know that sometimes that may not sound, I know, the best for a lot of people, right? But they do make it super interactive, and especially with the introductions, which I believe what I've taken online courses in the past with and courses, but what makes it very different is the personal touch, and every course is the video introduction, because I'm actually seeing a human being, not just the words, and seeing their passion when they talk about what they do and why they're doing the program. It's, you find a lot, you may be, okay, you may be over here, I may be doing it over here, but there's similarities. So that's how.
Can I just add on to that as well? When Roxana talked about sometimes it is organic and sometimes the professors put you together, but at the end of the day, you do make connections because you have to work together. And just as you are, many of you work now in the public sector, even in the private sector, you have to work with other people. That's just part of what it is. And so just making those connections with people, particularly when she talked about the introductions, I always thought about when I was in school many years ago, how I hated doing the introductions. And then as a professor, I found it so valuable because what happens is that you get to know what people are interested in. Are they interested in the same things you are? Let's say you have to come up with a paper topic and I can work with this person on that because they're interested in that. Or I like to turn everything in on the first day and I see 3 other people like to do the same thing. Let me try to start working with them. It's just different things like that that happen, all these synergies, and you start connecting with people.
Dr. Thomas, Lecturer McIntyre hit on, interest areas. Did you find any of your interest areas change throughout the program or anything changed? Yeah, just about your perspectives from the start to the finish.
Thank you. Dr. McIntyre did touch on a lot of things, especially the critical thinking. So I never used to like doing budget and crunching numbers, but I find the importance of it in a municipality or local government itself, so that you can explain to the constituents, because sometimes they look at a budget book and they can't even make sense out of it. So for me to understand that aspect and be able to share my experience and how to, kind of navigate through that, I believe it's helped me a lot. And also to provide resources to our constituents as well that do not know or know how to navigate the website or where to go. So all these knowledge that I obtained, and people that I've met throughout my career have been very helpful. I sit on many boards, I sit on many committees. So with that, I make connections and I can bring some kind of unison, right, into a structure that is so broken. So if I can be a part of that bandage, I will, and I have been.
Absolutely. I was having that exact conversation with a second semester MPA student, and telling them about how valuable it is to not just pass your budget off to finance people or accounting people. You know how to justify the numbers, you know how to tell that story of those numbers, and so that is a asset that is quite literally priceless,
Yes.
especially as a leader. Um, to that point, Lecturer McIntyre, have you seen any of your students change their interests or just change from start to finish in the program?
Well, so I've been here a year, but in general, just in teaching public administrations, it happens all the time. It happens all the time because you start out thinking, oh, I want to do this and only this. But then once you get in, or I've seen students once they get in and they start working on other things, they realize, oh, I think I'm interested in this as well. So they're not just interested in one thing, they're interested in many things. Or the interest has totally shifted from one area to another. While I'm still interested in emergency management, I was interested in other areas of the government and other areas of public sector that dealt with equity. So just from my own experience, I can tell you that it can change over a period of time based on the classes that you're taking. Sometimes in general, you're interested, but it's not until you take that one class, either with that one professor or with that one book, that it just opens up something. And then you're like, wow, this is like really interesting. I'm really interested in this. I've seen it myself in many students. So I think that whatever your courses or the course just charted as, it may be what you think you want, and then once you get in there, there may be something else still within the field of public administration, because it is so very broad and just covers, and public policy just covers so much, whether it's city, local, or federal government. or nonprofits. We should also mention that, nonprofits are also within that area. You may find that you want to do something else. I've had students that actually did end up working for nonprofits and wanted to be a nonprofit, but they thought that they were going to work directly into the public sector.
And Dr. Thomas, I believe you have to hop off. So thank you for your perspectives and for joining us. We're so valuable. Thank you.
Thank
Speaking
you
of
for the
the,
opportunity. I appreciate it. And
absolutely.
please don't give up, students. Don't be intimidated by the agenda of this of the syllabus. You can get through it. If I can, anybody can. So thank you and good night.
Absolutely. Have a good night. Roxana and William, Dr. Lecturer McIntyre talks about that one book, that one class that just puts off that light bulb. What was that for you two?
Uh, I'd probably say the light bulb that went off for me was the productivity in the public and private sector course. You learn so many managerial skills and leadership skills, and you learn in in-depth analysis how to get the right productivity out of a staff. And one of the things that I learned after completing the course is it's not just the knowledge is in your head. You literally can start applying it to your own workforce. And while I'm not a manager myself, I've been able to just kind of read between the lines and understand what it takes to have those managerial skills and leadership capabilities. And when I really just learned, the different various ways of getting productivity, I would just, go to work, and sometimes you just look at some supervisors and I just kind of smile or I'd wince like, oof, so you really get a third eye. One of the things that I enjoy about the class was the program. It gives you a third eye. You can take what you have learned and apply it immediately. You can see it in the workplace. You can see it in different structures, be it if you work in government, nonprofit. So I'd say productivity in the public and private sector for the leadership, managerial skills that I learned. It definitely was something that, while I'm not a supervisor myself, I definitely can, in somewhat in my own ways, do some analysis. I may not vocally do it, but I definitely can read between the lines, I should say.
What about you, Roxana?
So for me, I'm very fortunate I was able to take away at least something from every class. But the classes that really stood out to me the most that I think I just will carry with me always is any of the, especially the ethics classes, right? I think that's the most important ones because working with victims of crime and even, working in the dependency system for some time in the past, you kind of see like the importance of the ethics and really drilling that in, especially when I'm training these service providers and saying, listen, the ethics part of it, the integrity part of it, and the importance of it, right? Because of the work that we're doing, especially working with victims of crime. But the other course that really just, I like to say, just changed my life in general was it was taught by Dr. Marsha Beck. She taught the organizational dynamics and management course. And that was wonderful because it provided so many of the theories. It provided the case studies that were involved of just different leadership styles, and it really made you look at yourself of like, how am I not only analyzing my experiences of different leadership styles along my journey, but how am I to a leader? And it made me realize that I cannot be a leader to others unless I'm a leader within myself first. So that and of course came with the following up with everything of making sure that, that everything is being taken care of. But that course really opened my eye to just the different perspectives and the spillover effects and just the different things that are just going on within the public, the private, and the nonprofit sectors. Because again, I think that I admit, I have no shame in admitting it. When I first went in, I thought I didn't know the nonprofit was something super separate. I thought it was in the public, and little did I realize, oh wow, there's two different things, and haven't experienced it. They all run very differently. So for me, it just made me understand and respect each one and how to handle each respectively, collectively.
It's interesting that both of you mentioned just kind of that organizational dynamic, leadership, et cetera, being able to preserve our human resources, et cetera. It is such a valuable skill that sometimes is implicit, and this program is brought to the forefront. So with these last 5 minutes of Q&A, what I want to hear is from each of you, why and why this specific program?
Well, for me personally, you know, I wanted to always attend UM when I was 17. I remember the school looked so different. I remember touring the school when I was 17 years old, and I remember how I wanted to attend UM so badly. And at the time, I didn't feel that I didn't feel like I was smart enough to attend such a great school. And as time went on, I kept seeing signs, I kept seeing the sticker, I kept seeing everything that reminded me of until it was one point in my career where I said, when I was working in law enforcement, and I was seeing, all the sergeants and all the lieutenants were getting, you know, promoted because they were going back to school for their masters. And I remember one of the biggest challenges for me personally was test taking. It was the GRE was difficult for me. I didn't have the time to do that. It was just a lot of on my plate. And when I but when I thought about finally a sticker. When I thought about I looked and it was online. And when I was told that I didn't have to take the GRE, that it'd be waived, I was like, whoa. But it wasn't just that. It's just from that interaction itself, it made me realize that looked at me like a human being, and they appreciated what I brought to the table. And I wasn't just a number to them. And it was proven even starting from the very beginning with all the professors. I can tell you the experiences I've had. I remember leaving my job and I was crying. I was going through a tough time. And I remember meeting with Dr. Curley, and she was the most empathetic person in that time that gave me back like a little bit of gas to kind of keep the car running forward after that. And and but this school it's special, I mean, yeah, there's other master programs, they're all online, but this school, again, it's the humanistic approach of everyone wanting you to be better, even from other colleagues. And even William can say, how our professors would reach out to them saying, hey, there's this opportunity that made me think of you. And not a lot of schools would do that, and it's all virtual. And this program just makes you realize the amount of potential that you have within, that you just don't even know it's in there just yet. And I can tell you, if it wasn't for, I will always say this, if it wasn't for all my professors, but if it wasn't for Dr. Marsha Beck, if it wasn't for her and her constant support and her reassurance and telling me, no, look what you can, if you've like, look at everything that you've accomplished, go for it. I wouldn't be working for the Office of Attorney General. I wouldn't have been the commencement speaker by the time when I graduated, from all that confidence that everyone has provided. So, yes, you can look at other schools, but this is family, no matter where you are. And and it's just something that it's just so uniquely, it's just unique.
Well put, Roxana. Me being a Michigan native, it was actually really interesting. I grew up a huge fan of college football, and at the time when I was a kid, there was no other university that could play college football like the Miami Hurricanes. And yes, I live in Michigan with the Michigan Wolverines and Michigan State Spartans, but I have always wanted to attend UM. And similar to Roxana, I didn't feel personally I had the grades either. So I took the long road. I got my undergrad and I applied in 2020. And, I felt it was just a dream come true, and I always had doubts about big name schools. Again, growing up around U of M and MSU, I just never cared for big brand name schools. And I went to attend UM in faith. I went, attending that the university was going to do right by me and not look at me as just a number, but as a student. And I can say in full confidence, that's exactly what happened. I know I know is a big brand. It's a well-respected school, but it gave me so much of a homey feel, even being here in Michigan. And shout out to Dr. Beck, as Roxana said, Dr. Beck, Marcia Beck. We took organization and dynamics together with her, and she gave me one to still to this day, one of the best pieces of advice I ever had. We finished a group project and there was some complications, and I reached out to her just to clear the air. And she told me right then and there, William, don't come off the bench. Be a starter, be a leader, be a captain, because that's what it takes in this world. Sometimes we all have the ideas, but we're afraid to step out and say what the idea is. And she made it clear, when you go to UM and when you walk across that stage from UM, you're no longer a bench player. You're no longer the sixth man. You are a leader. You are a captain. You have UM sitting right next beside you with your name on that diploma. And so it's just been, I'm just a proud UM alum. And again, I will always stand by my university. Shout out to Dr. Marcia Beck, rest in peace, Dr. West, and so many others, professors, Dr. Curley. I can't name them all, but again, just being a Michigan native, not just coming from a different background, UM was the place I wanted to be, and I'm proud to be a UM alum.
And then last but not least, Lecturer McIntyre, why should students come to the program? Just wrapping it up.
Strong academic program. That we have a really rigorous program, but it is a fulfilling program. It will get you where you want to go. As we started out, prioritize, prioritize. That's what you have to do. But when you get here, we know that life happens and things happen. So we're going to support you. And you have a whole team behind you that supports you, your academic advisors, etc. So you have this strong academic program, and UM has, for me, even as a professor, I came here not just for the program, but because of their research capabilities and their research opportunities. I think when you go to a school that has a strong academic program and research, you're going to a top-notch school, and that's what this is. And we would love to have each and every one of you here. So apply for the program. I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Just to hone in to some of the resources that are also accessible to you as a student, so we can wrap up. The Topple Career Center is available to each and every one of you who is admitted as that professional next step, even if you're just looking to brush up your resume or write a convincing CV. I had a boss once who said, even if you're in a job that you are enjoying, having those skills to be able to be attractive as a candidate is important and something that is a muscle that can be exercised. We also have the Graduate Student Association, which gives an opportunity for multidisciplinary connections with both online and on campus students. So it's something that I've seen several students take advantage of. We also have an online library. Lecturer McIntyre talks about that research capability and something that knowledge, again, of course, is power, and having the access to that information, you can decide what you will do with it. And then we also have accommodations that are available to students with differences in abilities. But just to talk about some of these application requirements and what it takes. You would require a transcript. We don't need your official transcripts just yet. During the application process, you can send us the unofficials. And then after you are admitted, then we would ask for those officials. And then your resume, personal statement, 2 letters of recommendation. It's helpful to see from both a professional and academic standpoint what you're interested in, your work, etc. And then if you are looking to use any kind of federal aid, FAFSA, and then along with that application that is online. Your enrollment advisor, of course, can help you with each of these, but I want everyone to write this date down, lock it in your brain, etch it, whatever you need to do. Monday, March 10th is going to be our early admission deadline, and this admission deadline is super critical so that you can get the $300 deposit fee waiver. So make sure that you are able to connect with an enrollment advisor, get your further questions answered, even if you weren't able to type them today. Monday, March 10th is when you'll want to have all your application materials compiled and to submit them off. Again, speak with an enrollment advisor. Contact information is right there. But if you're ready to start that application, go ahead and scan that QR code. Aside from that, thank you each to our panelists for joining. I've learned so much about your individual stories, what brought you to public administration, and I hope that you continue to grow in that work and to impact others. So thank you all for your insights, and I hope you each have a good night. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
bye all.